Well, hello, it's time for video office hours and podcast office hours. I'm Scott Fox. Thanks for our business advice just for you and you and you and you and you over there and you over there across the world and around the internet, both today and in the archives. So thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to do my best to help you and anyone who wants to join me live to, well, figure out what's going on, help make a little progress in your quest to become what I call a click millionaire. That's a phrase I coined myself to describe the lifestyle that I've built, which is doing stuff I enjoy, making some money at it, and really being my own boss through the magic of the internet. If that sounds good to you, well, I hope you'll join me for this hour. And I'd be happy to hear from you, of course, live. We're on Google Plus and a Hangout, a public Hangout on air that's happening right now. We're over on Blog Talk Radio, recording the podcast. And we're live on YouTube and at clickmillionaires.com and syndicated through iTunes and a bunch of other places. So if you want to catch this later, or you don't have time to watch the whole episode, or to catch past episodes, please go check out any of those places, and I'd be happy to help you. Well, a video or audio recording of me will be happy to help you. If you want help from me live, well, come on over right now to Google Plus and join the chat room and broadcast that we've got going on there, or join the Click Millionaires forum. Clickmillionaires.com is a free resource that I put up after the release of my last book, which was called, not surprisingly, Click Millionaires. So my last book is called Click Millionaires, and that's a term I came up with, like I said. And the subtitle of the book is Work Less, Live More with an Internet Lifestyle Business You Love. And that's the goal. I think the Internet's a big opportunity for anybody listening to this. If you're smart enough to have figured out how to watch on YouTube or download an iTunes podcast, well, you've got it in you to build a business online too, and I'd be happy to help you. ClickMillionaires.com is free. It's free, honestly. Me, my staff are there. We try to help. If you want more personal coaching or to work more directly with me, then I encourage you to upgrade to our Masterminds forum. That's just $39 a month, a huge deal compared to a lot of the guru BS packages that you see bandied about on the internet. And this has been going for a long time. Just to point out, this is not some new thing. I launched that first forum in, what's it, 2009, I think. So it's been more than 5 years. We're still going strong. Be happy to meet more of you and have you join us. Either the free one or the paid one. Either way, happy to help. The money that I make off the free forum, and there's not much, we run it pretty much break even, I have to admit, but the money of that, well, we give half the ad revenue back to the members. That's right, it's the first forum I know of where the members actually get paid for participating. This is not, doesn't seem to me to be such a breakthrough idea, but as far as I know, there's no other forum on the internet that does this. So if you'd like to look at this as a scholarship, well, we're kind of giving you a little bit of a scholarship. Come over to Click Millionaires, post some good discussions, help some other people. We've got leaderboards. You'll see your name rise on the leaderboards, and at the end of the month, we'll split the ad revenue with you, and we pick 4 people every month, and those top 4 people actually get paid for working on their own businesses and answering and asking questions that help themselves make more money. It's a win-win. And then whatever's left over, well, I give that to charity. That goes to a college scholarship fund to help inner-city kids go to college. An inner-city kid just like I used to be. So it's all good, and we're trying to help you get along in this big bad world with a little help at clickmillionaires.com. So come on and join us. Today we're doing video and podcast office hours. We're going to take some questions. I've got a bunch of questions here from folks who posted them in the forum. Today we're going to talk about, let's see, graphic design, header banners, search engine marketing, pay-per-click marketing, email marketing, frequency and content, how to get started. A lot of people are just overwhelmed when they're new, and things like that. I'll be taking this hour through with those questions that were submitted earlier. But if you're here live, and I can see a bunch of you coming online now for the Hangout, if you'd like to join me in the chat room, you can do that as well. Come on in, visit Google Plus, or go to the homepage on clickmillionaires.com. You can just listen and watch me there. This isn't the most visually exciting show, so if you want to get involved, click on the Google link, come on over into Google Plus, and turn on your webcam, and then you'll show up on the screen with me right here. There'll be little pictures of you guys here, and I know a bunch of you are watching, so it is easier to watch, but it is more fun to participate. And you know what I always say, you see me doing this in the forum, I sign things all the time. Participation leads to monetization. So if you want to participate, I think that will help you learn faster, come up the curve faster to join me as a Click Millionaire. All right, so that's our agenda today. It's pretty easy, it's free, it's fun, and if you'd like to participate, come on over to Google Plus right now. Look for the click. So you can, if you're picking this up on YouTube or somewhere, search for Click Millionaires, and you'll find an event that's hosted literally right now, and it's a public Google Hangout, or maybe go over to Hangouts on Air, look over there, and come on and say hello. All right, well, let's get started here. We want to take some questions that we had from our forum audience, and then we'll keep going with whatever you guys want to chime in. And I think if you want to come in with the webcam, go to the event page, and there's usually a blue join button over there. So they change the interface all the time, so it's not easy. I apologize for that, but I'm not in charge of Google. So come on over to the event page and see what you can find there, and I think that you'll be able to get in and join me live if you'd like to. I'm looking at mine. I've got a blue start button, but I'm the host, so I'm not sure you'll see the same thing if you come to the event page. Let's just check here real quickly if I come into my other account here. Of course, they make this difficult. Yeah, I've got the start button as well. Anyway, all right, well, you guys can figure it out. You're very smart, and I know that you can come and join me if you'd like, and I hope you will. I can see that Bella and Ben and let's see, Jim and Darisha and Lynn and Inga and Richard and Lori and Brad. A bunch of folks are coming along and joining us, and I'm happy to have you here. Bella says, thanks for doing this. She's read both my books. Well, thank you, Bella. I hope you've enjoyed the books. Obviously enough to come here, right? So happy to have you with me. And if you have a webcam, come and click on the Get Started link there, and I'd be happy to talk to you more in person. And that way we can go into a little more depth than when I just take these written questions. All right, so let's get to it. Let's have some questions. First off, you know, I wanted to start with this one from, let's see, we've got one from Patrick, Amy, let's see, Paul. Okay, here we go. This is the one, Amy. From Amy Nicholas, who has been active lately. Thanks, Amy, for being one of our new active members. I would guess, Amy, that you are on your way to a Community Star Award, which comes with some of that community cash I was talking about. If that motivates you, then you can make a little money. You know, by the way, it's fall, it's back to school, traffic is up, which means people are clicking on our ads more, which means more ad revenue for the revenue sharing pool. So if you are interested in doing that, come and participate. And there's more money to be had this month than last. Now, Amy's question is, hi, Scott. I'd appreciate some information or advice on what you should focus on first when building your website. How not to get overwhelmed by all the many options, features, and people talking in your ear all the time about what you should do. How can I get just focus on getting my basic site up and running and delivering great and valuable content? Well, that's a great question, Amy, and don't worry, those of you who are past that point, we'll get to some more technical questions in a moment. But I want to start with this because Amy has a common problem, and one I even face this myself. There's so much to do on the internet. There's so many important things, you know, must-do tasks, and social media can stretch you really thin, and all these different blogs and gurus trying to sell you stuff or tell you what you have to do right now. And honestly, most of it's a lot of self-important crap. All right, these blogs, these gurus, these products, they're just trying to get your attention so that they can make some money. And there's nothing wrong with that, nothing at all. Of course, this is capitalism, but you have to develop a filter. I have some longtime masterminds members who have become good friends of mine. They run a firm called Muscle-White Marketing. You might check that out if you need help with your marketing. And we were having lunch a couple years ago at the Ritz-Carlton. By the way, if you're a masterminds member and you come out to Southern California and you're one of our featured member award winners, there is such a thing as a free lunch. I'll take you to lunch at the Ritz-Carlton here, which is my favorite beach resort right near here. Anyway, I was having lunch with the Muscle-Whites, and they pointed out, the summary is that you have to develop a good filter when you're new to this stuff. You really just have to learn how to say no. You have to narrow your vision and say no once you've figured out what you're doing. So, Amy, there's not an easy answer, but I think you're already on the right track because you're focused on, let's see, how did you say this? Getting a basic site set up, running and delivering great and valuable content. That is the key. And I would add maybe products to that as well. And you got to market it, okay? But that's the point, is focusing on the value first. All the other stuff, honestly, it's noise. And I would recommend, here's a, I don't know, we'll see how many steps I come up with. How about 3 steps? Figure out what you're going to do. What's your niche, what's your product, who's your target market, and there's lots of exercises about this in the Click Millionaires book, like the niche business identification checklist. This is a great 30-point PDF that you can download for free. Click millionaires.com. It's the same checklist I use myself to evaluate new ideas. So, okay, that's step one. Figure out your idea. And then do enough research to be sure you're sure enough to get going. And then unsubscribe. That's my big answer. Unsubscribe. Stop reading all that stuff until you get up and going. Because there's nothing that's going to happen on the internet in a 60 or 90 or day period, or even 6 months, or even a year, frankly, come on, that you have to do that's more important than getting your site up and getting going. And the problem is, if you do listen to all these other folks, whether they're friends or consultants, which are really salespeople masquerading as consultants, they're trying to get you to do other stuff to distract you. And you just got to make the donuts. Make the donuts, and then you'll have something to sell. Then you can worry about your Twitter, you're automating your Twitter feed, or your Pinterest strategy, or syndicating your podcast onto iTunes. Get the basic foundation in place. Just say no, unsubscribe, put your head down, and get the work done. You can easily get overwhelmed by features, but so many of the folks that are constantly bugging you about features are consultants. And consultants these days is, like I said, it's a fancy word for salesman or saleswoman. These consultants are constantly saying, well, you got to do this with your WordPress. You got to do these plugins. You got to update this. You've got to back this up. You've got to turn on your Twitter thing over here, your YouTube that, and hey, I've got this great new graphics solution, blah, blah, blah. Right? It is distraction. So my idea for you, Amy, and this is a little simple, but it works, is give yourself a budget. I really like budgets. Take a time budget. Let's say 90 days. It's a 90-day development budget, or whatever works for you. A 90-day development budget, and turn all the other stuff off. You're going to come back. You're not dumb. You're not sticking your head in the sand. You're not ignoring the marketplace. But don't let your insecurity about what you're doing take over your schedule by trying to keep up with lots of little stuff when it's the big stuff that matters. There's probably a more eloquent way to say that, but what I'm trying to say is, you got to make the stuff. You got to make the donuts. As Seth Godin says, you got to ship it. Ship the thing, then worry about the other stuff. If you're not shipping things, all the rest is noise. So, all right, Amy, well, I hope that's helpful. Kind of a little rant there, a little diatribe, but hopefully that'll help you get focused, because there's not a good answer. All those things do eventually need to be paid attention to. They don't all need to be done, but you should probably evaluate most of that stuff. There are a lot of moving parts within internet business, and the best weapon you have is to unsubscribe and close your ears and get the work done. All right, so I hope that's helpful. Let's see, let's keep going here. I wanted to, I mentioned a couple topics there. Let's take another question. I'm just going to dive in today. I know I talk a lot at the intro here, so let's just do another question real quick. And those of you who are in the chat room, let's see. Hey guys, looks like a bunch of people are watching. Not too many have actually figured out the Google Plus thing. Maybe I should stop posting that easy-to-watch video on the homepage. That's where you guys are all watching, I think. But we've got a chat room going over in the actual Hangout itself. So come on over and say hi if you'd like to join me in there, and if you have some questions, because I'm going to run out. We won't do a full hour if we don't have a full hour's worth of questions, okay? All right, next one up is our good friend Patrick. Patrick wrote in from the Philippines, and if you're watching today, Patrick, thanks for joining us. I know it's about 5:30 in the morning there, so good to see you. Patrick wants to know, well, he has two questions. One's about email marketing, and let's get to that in a moment, but let's grab this one first. What to include in a good header banner, and how to get it made inexpensively. All right, sort of 2 for 1 there also, but let's talk about graphics for a second. The first thing that people see when they come to your website is a header banner. You got to have a nice logo. And the logo needs to usually have a little tagline as well. Slogan, a strapline, whatever you want to call it, a couple words underneath it as well. And that's what I think constitutes a good header banner. So for you or anyone, I happen to know that Patrick's site is related to alternative medicine. He's a Masterminds member, and we did a whole website tune-up clinic review for him, where the whole community came and helped him improve his site, and I actually did a video myself reviewing, suggesting changes, and his site's looking a lot better all the time. And one of the outstanding items is this header banner. So I would first find a professional. It's really easy in the early days when you're using point-and-click website builder to just type in a header. And I think that's fine for the early days. In fact, it's better than spending a lot of time making a really good logo and then figuring out a couple months later that, oh, you want to change your slogan, or you want to change even the name or the purpose of your site, which often happens in the early days, let's be honest. So if you want to get started, as Patrick did, by just typing in the name of your site and the slogan in a simple font on a plain color background, maybe with some flowers or stars or something, that's a fine place to start. But as soon as you've pretty much narrowed down what you're doing, I'd invest a little money, and I mean a little, in a professional header banner. A good logo can really make a difference, right? It identifies who you are, it calls to mind your business and helps people remember you, and it looks professional. When a new visitor arrives on your website, they have maybe 6 seconds, something like that, 6 or 7 seconds is the number I've often heard, to get a first impression, and usually they leave. So that banner, which is going to take up a good chunk of the space that they see above the fold, is critical. So I would include your brand name, some sort of graphic elements, decorations, maybe that are inspired by the things you do. Like in Patrick's case, it's a medical site, so maybe some medical-related imagery. You might include either photos or drawings of your products if you sell products, etc., etc. And then a tagline that gives a person some idea of what you do and what you can do for them. So if you have a very descriptive site name already, like let's say, cheapestlawnfurniture.com, then you probably don't need to explain that too much, and you probably have a picture of a lawn chair, and they can pretty much get it. But if it's a little more obscure, you've gone with something less descriptive, like, say, yahoo.com. Yahoo didn't mean anything 15 years ago. They've created a meaning for it. Or amazon.com, right? That used to mean a big river. It doesn't mean that as often in my conversations anymore as it does a big Seattle-based online retailer. So if you have a name like that isn't as obvious, spell it out. A slogan, just some examples. Welcome to the #1 retailer of lawn furniture. Or helping you find better lawn furniture deals. These kind of things. You've grown up in the modern world, you've seen plenty of advertising slogans, but a combination like that of the name, some graphics, and what you can do for the visitor is a good use of space. Another point is I wouldn't make it too tall. Some people get in love with their own imagery, especially I've noticed, those of you who are photographers, you fall in love with a photo that you've taken, and then you want to make all the images huge. That's not a good use of space. Your header should be maybe 200 pixels tall, 250 tops. The days of great big image-driven banners are gone unless you are, for example, a professional photographer or something like that. So I would make it tight, wide, good colors that you can also reflect in the design of your site, and that little slogan that gives people an idea of what you're about. Now, where would you go to get this done? Well, I would suggest, first of all, I would suggest spending the money to get it done. You say, oh no, I don't have $500 to do this, or $5,000. You don't have to spend that much money. Even $50 or $20 or even $5 on Fiverr can get you something that will likely be better than what you're going to do yourself unless you have graphic training of some sort. So $5 sounds like a crazy deal, and it is. If you go to Fiverr, Fiverr.com, that's Fiverr.com, you can get all kinds of services for only $5 a piece. Now, the logos that are created there are not beautiful and original. They're often driven by templated graphic systems, but these days templated graphic systems can be pretty good. And for $5, maybe you can get something that's good enough to hold you for 3 months or 6 months while you get the rest of the site going and develop a better, bigger, fancier, more expensive logo with a more sophisticated design team. My personal logo, go-to logo source is at cheaplogoinfo.com, cheaplogoinfo.com. That's the Click Millionaires affiliate link for a firm called Logo Nerds, and they will do header banners for, I think it's $17 or it's $27, something like that. But it's cheap, and they'll give you 3 versions usually. You can mess around and back and forth. You get several revisions, and it's a huge deal. And I'd check that out at cheaplogoinfo.com if you're looking for a header banner. And I think, by the way, Patrick has gone and done that, and you think he's on the road to that, but I will be seeing him soon in the Masterminds Forum, and we'll get some more details there. But the rest of that, I hope, Patrick, was helpful to you and to anybody else listening here. Happy to have your question, and thanks for Thanks for posting it. Okay, let's see here. Rolling right along. Looks like we are broadcasting live. Looks like it's all going well. I'm going to try to take some questions over here too. Let's put this. Okay. Okay. Next up, we've got. Let's see. Well, speaking of clickmillionaires.com, I was just looking before I came on. There's some really good conversations going on. If you haven't gone and checked out this site already, I actually printed out some of the latest leaderboard from the top discussions, and you can see we've got all kinds of people there. We've got thousands of members, by the way. We recently crossed the 3,000 member mark, so this is a big, popular place to be if you have questions about internet businesses. And some of the topics we're discussing this week, just as examples for you, are WordPress versus TypePad versus Site Build It. Those are three popular site building solutions that make building a website easy for non-technical users. So that's a recurring theme, so thanks to Art for bringing that one up again. Our active member Jaxie's posted a big update from all the new things that Google has released this summer that affect the search engine optimization of our websites. Kevin, who's a good friend of the show and a Masterminds member as well, he's posted, "Forget Google, I'm just going to build something people like." And this is actually a very interesting essay about how he's kind of what I was advising Amy to do earlier. Stopping worrying about the Google monster, feeding the Google monster constantly with different little small tweaks, and focusing primarily on delivering value and good content and services that people like. And it's a helpful essay to remind everybody to focus on what matters, not on the noise. I posted a thing about unplugging. I found out there's actually a holiday. People are online so much that apparently there's a National Day of Unplugging, which I didn't know about, so we're talking about that. We've got a bunch of new folks joining, like Andrew and Maggie, who have posted things to say hello and introduce themselves, which is always nice. A website tune-up community clinic for a Tai Chi website. Christine had some questions about WordPress, etc., etc. Font question Amy had on WordPress. Domain flipping. Andrew wanted to know about flipping domains, and Terry about domain transfers, etc., etc. This is the kind of nuts and bolts stuff that it's hard to get an answer to without a community to ask, and that's what clickmillionaires.com is about. I'd also point you to a great new book called Living Better for Less Abroad. And it's by Tim Leffel, and there's a review of that posted on the homepage, and I think that's a really interesting one if you're listening to this show because you have aspirations of moving away and becoming what they're calling digital nomads these days. Tim's book is A Better Life for Half the Price, and there's a big discussion about that on the homepage right today, and I'd recommend that to you as well. So that's all the sort of things going on at clickmillionaires.com, and if that sounds interesting to you, well, come on down. Next up, we're going to have some more questions here. I guess we should maybe talk about that email marketing. And let's see. Well, Bella's posting in there, really have a mobile-friendly website. Bella, I'm not sure if that's a question or if you're talking to me or not. But if you are, please post again, and we'll try to answer your question. So. All right, so well, Paul checked in from Singapore. Paul is one of our community stars. He's an active member, and he had a question about search engine marketing. He says, "Hi, Mr. Scott. I'd like to know more about SEM, search engine marketing, and how to use it to our best advantage. Is it similar to paid advertising? Thank you in advance, Paul." Well, Paul, happy to hear from you as usual. Let's talk about SEM. SEM is, as you said, an abbreviation for search engine marketing. But is it similar to paid advertising? Well, yes, it includes paid advertising. I would say, roughly speaking, that SEM has two big components. The one side is search engine optimization, which we've already mentioned a little bit, but that's the idea of optimizing your website and your activity online in order to attract better rankings from Google for free. And the other part of SEM is search engine marketing advertising, which is usually pay-per-click ads through a service like Google AdWords. So it's SEM includes paid advertising, but it's like half of the story, I guess. So the SEO we've talked a fair bit about, and we can pursue that again in the forum or now if anybody wants to get more specific specific, and chime in the chat room or over on the event page. I'd be happy to hear from you there if you want to ask SEO questions. But pay-per-click advertising is the other part, and that may be the part you're less familiar with, so let's talk about that for just a second. AdWords is obviously the big gorilla that drives Google. In fact, 95, maybe even 98% of Google's profits actually come from the AdWords world. They do all kinds of other cool things like moonshots and driverless cars, and they're trying to solve health issues, all this other kind of fancy stuff. But the idea is that most of their revenue actually comes from pay-per-click advertising, and that's why it's called part of SEM, search engine marketing, because it's actually a subsidiary of Google. Of course, there are competitors like Yahoo's. Yahoo bought a company called Overture, which is another pay-per-click marketing advertising company, and there's lots of other ones as well. But most of SEM is actually driven, or the reason it's called SEM is because it's a Google subsidiary, AdWords. And that is just the idea that you can pay based on keywords to have little text ads or image ads shown on other people's websites, and you only pay if they click on those ads. It's very cost effective. It's a little techy and tricky to do well, so we can talk more about pay-per-click anytime you'd like in the forums or in a future show. But that's a rough overview, and I recommend both highly. Google controls and funnels the vast majority of traffic on the internet these days, so if you're trying to get more business, it's a good idea to pay attention to SEM, and both halves, both the search engine optimization to attract free ranking, free traffic through a higher search engine ranking, and also through pay-per-click advertising through AdWords or similar products from other companies. That is a one-two punch is really what drives a lot of the success of businesses online today. So I hope that's helpful, Paul. Nice to hear from you. Paul is one of our Community Star winners, I said, by the way. Let me congratulate, before I forget, the winners from, what is it, it's September. So our August winners were Victor and Paul and Adam and Christine, according to the notes I have here. Each of those folks got a share of our ad revenue that helped them not only learn from their time at the clickmillionaires.com forum, but also get paid for it. So if that sounds like fun to you, then come on down. And our ad pool is growing. Like I said, it's back to school time. People are in the forum, and there is money to be had. In about 2 weeks from today, we'll be announcing the September winners. So there's time for you to get in and get busy if you'd like to get paid online as well. All right, moving right along here. So it looked like somebody found our way in there. Hi, Lynn. Nice to see you.
Finally made it.
Yeah, all right, great. Good to see you. Yeah. Yay. Any tips for other... What's that?
I figured it out.
Yeah, okay. Any tips for other folks? We have trouble with this each time I do this as to how to actually get in here, and they seem to change the interface.
It took 3 or 4 steps.
3 or 4 steps.
And I'm not sure I can repeat them because I was just stumbling my way through it. So.
Fair enough. No, I feel the same way. I'm supposed to be the host, and I keep trying to get through the process myself, and every time I get it figured out, I write it down. A month later, I come back and they've changed it. So anyway. All right. Well, if you have any questions, go ahead and raise your hand, or type in if you'd like. Or did you have anything specific you wanted to join, or are you just here soaking it up?
Well, I'm soaking it up. But the last time I was there, y'all used my website as a you analyzed it. That's been a long time ago. I've been really, really busy, but I listened very carefully. I wasn't able to join in like I am today, but I listened very carefully to what you said, and I made some very specific changes to it. And I've just made so much progress. I mean, I'm so excited with all that's happening now.
Great.
And I'm doing a lot of different things to kind of break into the market. A lot of grassroots effort that literally have just started over the summer. Literally going door to door and speaking to people and saying, I just want to give me an opportunity to let me show you what I have. Because back in the day when I was talking to you, I only had a book.
Right.
Well, since then, I not only have a website and a store on the website, but I also have a parenting course that goes along with the book. And now I'm working on a commercial to get, to people to be able to know what am I talking, what is it that I'm selling. But also, I'm working on an audio book. So I mean, it's like. Really like blowing up. It's awesome.
You sound like an entrepreneur. I understand.
I'm really excited. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, tell us what the URL of the website is. Maybe we'll give you a little commercial.
It's heavenbroughthome.com. Heaven heavenbroughthome.com.
Excellent. Heavenbroughthome.com. All right. Well, there you go, folks. Lynn is an example of somebody who's apparently profiting from our advice here. That's great, man. I'm glad you're back. I remember doing that. That was fun.
Yeah.
Heaven
Thank
brought.
you. I wanted to say thank you because it really did help me.
Oh, good.
It was really great advice. You had several different people chiming in and saying, I mean, it was confusing. My website, like, I don't even know what you're selling and what do you have, and so, you know, when you're in deep yourself, you don't really see those things.
That's exactly right.
It was really great to have other pairs of eyes that haven't seen it before and say, well, that's a problem or this is a problem.
Right.
Yeah, it was really, really helpful.
Good.
And, but one of the things that I'm doing is in marketing is just offering some free, not just free product, but for like free, I'll come and speak. And that I'm finding that people are really interested in free products. Like, yeah, you're going to give me something free, but then it turns out to be a win-win for me. Because now I'm exposed to, you know, my business and my product gets exposure with these people that are coming to hear me speak.
Yes, I hear you. Hold on, there we go. I was trying to find the screen. There it is. Well, that's a lot cleaner than it was last time I saw it.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, I see what you mean. Excellent, excellent. All right, now let me see if I can get myself back.
Okay. There you go.
Unmute. There. How's that?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Okay, good. Sorry. Okay. So yes, well, yeah, giving stuff away for free is a real win-win.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Services, speaking, products is one way that I'm trying to be more open-handed. Like it draws people in when you offer something, a service, or like you're offering a service here, a video seminar, and it draws people in. And so I'm learning those kinds of things, teleseminars, video seminars. I just actually spoke to someone today that he purchased the course from me. It was really exciting, but he was talking about how you know, you can create a community of people where I teach one of the lessons, and they all come in and listen to me teaching that one lesson. Well, in order to listen or, you know, participate, every group has to have my course.
Right, right. I see what you're saying.
My course, all of your students are watching, all of his students are watching, you know what I'm saying? So I've got groups of people, and I'm offering my teaching for free, but everybody is paying for the course for their group. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, I understand what you mean. That's a great strategy. I think it kind of falls roughly in the realm of what we call freemiums. It's like people want to go out and try to sell right away sometimes, and they don't have either the credibility or the relationship with the customer to make them pay a lot of money. But if you start giving something away, and then you can kind of get them to upgrade over time, and it's kind of an embedded offer.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, congratulations. I'm glad. Thanks for joining us and telling us. That's good. That's good. All right. Well, chime in again if you have any more questions, and I appreciate you coming and letting people know that this is working. I'm trying to help, and I like that idea of looking at people's websites. If we get more people figuring out how to join us live, I think that's a good activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll even take appointments for that next time. I'm going to write that down. That's a good idea. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to get back to some of our other questions, but if you have a question, please do raise your hand and let me know. All right.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, so let's see. I was going to talk some about email marketing, and our friend Patrick from the Philippines had asked, and this is a big question, so I don't know if we can do all this today, because obviously there are whole books about email marketing, and this will probably apply to Lynn and many of the rest of you. His questions are, what should the content of the email include, and how often should I email his subscribers? Now, the frequency question is a very common question, and one that you can Google that, and you'll get 1,000 different answers. And the reason is that there's no right answer. How often you should email your subscribers is based on your relationship with them. It really is a relationship-based business. It's permission marketing, to quote Seth Godin again. So if somebody's given you their email address, they want to hear from you as often as you have something that's useful to them. They don't want to hear from you as often as you want to talk to them, because you're probably selling stuff. They want to hear from you as often as you have something useful to them. And that's why I think the key to email marketing is figuring out what you have that can help people. Kind of like Lynn was saying, if you have something to offer, and this can be something simple like a discount on a product, or it could be a new product, or it could just be information, or even links to other blogs. Say, hey, you know, this email is usually about chocolate candy, but I found a great recipe over on this other site. That can be valid content as well. What people don't appreciate hearing about is the same stuff that you and I don't like, which comes across as spam. So how often should you email subscribers? Well, I'd say a minimum is once a month. Otherwise, your list is going to go stale. If you're not reaching out at least once a month, if you wait 3 or 4 months and then finally you show up, even if the article's good, the people are likely to have forgotten who you are and then report you as spam, and that's going to hurt your list a lot. So that's something I would be careful about. Once a month is too little. Is a minimum, and then once a week or multiple times a week can be sustainable if you really have a lot of material. If you subscribe to a lot of the top tech blogs, like TechCrunch, for example, they post 3, 4, 6 blog posts every day. And if you subscribe to the RSS feed, you're getting, you know, bang, 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 bang. But they collect those into one daily email. I think once a day is probably enough these days. People don't necessarily want 6 or 10 emails a day, although that was a fashion maybe 5 years ago when there weren't a billion blogs to choose from. So somewhere between once a month and once a day would be my guess, Patrick, especially for somebody who's relatively new like you. Of course, it's good to have a calendar, and some consistency helps people understand. Although I think that's a little overrated, because given how much email and communications we're all bombarded with by the media, I don't think there are too many people who are sitting around saying, hey, it's Tuesday at 1:30, where's my email from Patrick? You know, I wouldn't worry about that too much, but I think you do need to maintain your mind share by showing up in their inbox on a fairly regular basis. And I'd say once a week is probably a good goal. And it can be more often if there's something valuable. You know, if there's a breakthrough in cancer treatments, well then I'd hit that hard if that's the topic of your website. Now the content of the email, I think I've kind of covered that now already a little bit implicitly by talking about what's of value to the customer. I used to have actually I do still have it. It says, I have a piece of paper taped right on my monitor from a couple years ago, and it says this. It says, I'm leaning over to read this. It says, how does this help customers solve a painful problem quickly? Is this worth reading? Would you read or watch this? And that, I think, is the criteria for the content of the email, the content of anything, even the content of your dinner conversation with your spouse, honestly. But we're just talking about email today. So let me say that again. How does this help a customer solve a painful problem quickly? Is this worth reading? Would you read or watch this yourself? Those are the kind of questions I would ask. So if you're just producing for the sake of producing, because some internet marketing genius told you that you had to publish every Tuesday at 1:30, but what you're sending out isn't actually of any value, then I don't think I'd do that. I'd slow it down. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. There's a lot of advice out there that says you have to publish a lot to establish a brand. But publishing a lot of junk is going to establish you as a junky brand. That's not going to get you where you want to go. There are other people who publish really long 3,000, 4,000 word essays, only occasionally, but they really nail a topic. Like they get into some deep philosophy sort of thing, or a very detailed tutorial or how-to, and those are the sort of things that people open even if they only come maybe quarterly or even annually. Annually is probably not enough unless you already have a big brand, but somewhere in there is the sweet spot. And I think the key is, like I said, does this help a customer solve a painful problem quickly? That's particularly true if you're trying to sell things. If you're building an advertising-based business, maybe more a blog or magazine article type thing, where you're just publishing and people are just kind of reading and you're making money when they click on the ads occasionally, that's fine. It's very fine. But if you can help people solve a painful problem quickly, that's the sort of answer that leads directly to sales. You know, if as one of my mentors used to tell me, You don't want to sell vitamins. You want to sell aspirin. Right? Vitamins, yeah, great idea. I'll get around to that sometime. But I got a headache. I want to solve this painful problem quickly. And your email shows up at the right time. Click, click, bought. And that's the objective, I think, for all of us, including our friend Patrick here. All right, so I hope that's helpful. A little philosophical approach there, maybe too big picture. But if you guys have more specific questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to keep going. Let's see. Now we've got some new questions here from Bella. Bella, who has revisited the Google Plus page, has not found her way in, or maybe she doesn't have a webcam. Bella, one of these days we'll get you. So Bella would like, she has two questions. Let's take these one at a time. Do I provide mentorship? Well, yeah, Bella, I do. I'm doing it right now. This is the way I do mentorship. I do through my books and my forum, and more particularly, I think what you're implying is a closer working relationship, and I do that through the Click Millionaires forum. The Click Millionaires Masterminds forum, which you can find by clicking on the Masterminds tab in the Click Millionaires forum, and I get details on that. That's $39 a month. It's a small private. We do calls like this. And we do the forum 24/7, and people get a lot of help out of it. And it's dirt cheap, $39, honestly, for what we offer is a huge deal. And then the other way is I do private coaching calls. I actually do calls, and you can book those at scottfoxshop.com. I've done hundreds of those. I've worked with hundreds, probably thousands of entrepreneurs all over the world. And based on my own experience and the benefits of learning from all of them in return, I do calls, and those are $250 an hour. I'd be happy to do that with you if you'd like. I only have room for a few of those each month, but if you'd like to book that, scottfoxshop.com is where you can find it. Or I'm pretty sure there's a link in the upper menu at clickmillionaires.com about private coaching calls. So thanks for asking. I do mentoring, and be happy to do that. And beyond that, I sit on the boards of several startups. I advise CEOs on their strategy and things like that. There's all different levels of mentorship. The constraint is how many hours I have. I have to gate my. It's all part of a package. All right. Her second question is, do I have any advice about how to go about finding a business partner? Yeah, that's a good one. We haven't talked about that much. Oh, sorry, you've got more questions there. Look at you. Let's see. Let me just do it. Okay, yeah, wow, all right. Do I think it's better do I have advice about finding a business partner? Yeah, this is a great topic. I'm glad you asked. We don't talk about this much. Here's the bottom line. If you are a techie person and you can build your own websites, you are ahead of the rest of us. You probably need a business partner or someone who likes to do marketing. And that is easier to find than a techie person who wants a more liberal arts-ish person's help. If you are a liberal arts-ish person, and I put myself in that, and it's not a pejorative comment at all, more of a marketing and ideas person, then you need a tech person. Those people are rarer these days, and you're going to have real trouble finding one. To put it blunt, I don't think you need a business partner, Bella. I think you need to learn to do it yourself and develop a budget where you can hire people to do it for you. I've seen dozens, maybe hundreds of people who think they have the world's best idea who are not techie, and they wait and wait and wait, and they just think somebody else is going to come and help them do this. And it's true of techie people too, I've almost never found an entrepreneur who had an idea first and a partner later that worked. There are fabulous partnerships, but they tend to come more organically. Like Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the guys who founded Google, they were in a PhD program at Stanford together. They knew each other already. They got together. They gradually developed a working relationship and turned it into a very successful business. It's very hard to get a person with different skill sets to buy into your vision so much that they want to do it. And I don't have a good answer for that, except to tell you I would think harder about doing it yourself. And that's probably not the answer you wanted, but that's based on a lot of experience. And I could be wrong, right? There's always exceptions, so if you want to talk about that more on the forum, please come on in, and I'll bet you if you post a question about that, you'll get some interesting answers from our other members. Let me hit another one here for you. What do I think is it better to have a keyword domain or a branded domain? Do keywords still matter? Keywords absolutely still matter. If you think that a branded domain is something, by that you mean like a yahoo.com? Is that what you mean? Like doesn't have keywords in it? I don't think that's a good idea. Just full stop. It's too expensive to establish a brand when your alternative could be that you sell whatever it is you sell, beach towels, right? You sell beach towels. Beachtowels.com is way ahead of trying to start Bella.com and getting people to realize that Bella.com means beach towels. That's just such an uphill battle. When if you just went with beachtowels.com, assuming that was available, and I'm sure it's not, it's just an example, but those keywords are immediately going to tell Google and anyone who arrives or links to you, hey, this site's about beach towels. It's way, way ahead of that. If you want to try to do both, maybe. bellasbeachtowels.com. Okay, perhaps. But it's worth some more thinking, but I would go with keywords every time because they do still matter. Google is basically just a big machine. It seems really smart. All it's doing is looking at your pages and figuring out what the keywords are and what keywords other people are using to link to you. So if you don't hit the keyword as hard as you can every time, then you're missing an opportunity to rank better in the #1 deliverer of free traffic, Google.com. All right, last one. These are good, Bill. Next time, come in earlier, and I'll give you even better answers because you'll give me a chance to think about them. And then we've got, let's see, we've got an inspiring quote I want to wrap up the show with, and then we'll see if anybody else wants to chime in with some last questions as well. Does having an aged domain help you rank higher, and how much does it help? Now, this is the idea that a domain that was not just created today is ranked higher by Google in the search engine rankings. Yes, I believe that is still true. So if you were, if we want to keep picking on beach towels, if you were to go and create beachtowels.com today, it would show an initial registration date of today. But if you were to buy beachtowels.com from someone else who had been running that site or even had just registered the name and never used it 5 or 10 or 15 years ago, it would appear as a more mature domain to anyone that looked it up in the Whois registry. Yes, as far as I understand, this is still one of the criteria that Google uses to rank a domain name, so an older domain is better. The second part of your question, I can't answer. How much does it help? Nobody knows outside of Google. The last count I heard, Google claimed to have over 200 separate pieces of their algorithm, 200 different criteria to rank a website, and this is one of them. Obviously, those 200 aren't all the same, and I would guess, honestly, that that number is quite a bit higher, especially if you consider off-site factors, and in addition to things that are just on the website itself. So how much does it help? Nobody really knows, but if you think logically, Google is trying, its algorithm is an effort to determine what is most relevant, right? So when their customer comes in and says, where can I find a good site about beach towels, they're going to look through their billions of web pages and figure out which ones are most relevant. And a site that is older, to me, does not sound as obviously more relevant than one that, to reference your earlier question, may have beach towels in the name. If the name is beachtowels.com, I don't care if it was registered yesterday. I know exactly what that site is about. Whereas you might have a 15-year-old site called bellasvacations.com that sells beach towels, but that's not so obvious. The in-between, of course, is that you've had 15 years for Google to really index your site and figure out, oh, this really is about beach towels, and they can. That's why their weighting has all these different factors in it, that they can balance that out. But my punchline is, I don't think age has a tremendous amount of weight in the calculations, because just logically it shouldn't. The best site isn't necessarily the oldest one. It's not like cheese or wine. It's more like news, at least to me. And I could be wrong. That's why I'm not at Google. I'm not an engineer, and I don't have any inside knowledge. I'm just thinking like a guy who's been around a while, and it seems to me that age is not nearly as important as the keywords on the page, the kind of content you have, the kinds of people that link back to you and what they're saying about you, the different places you've posted things about the sites, etc., the kind of products that you're selling, etc. All these other more fundamental issues seem to me to be a much higher value than the age of the domain. So I hope that's helpful. I think that was a pretty complete answer on that one, but I'd be happy to discuss it more as I would each of the other ones as well, because those are all good questions. In particular, the one about a business partner, because that is definitely an opinion, not a fact, and every situation is different. And everybody needs some help. My comments about giving up on finding a business partner are not to say that you shouldn't find somebody to share the load with, because you really should. That's one of the reasons I run these forums, for example, right? So many of us are solopreneurs, and just having somebody who understands what you're talking about can really be a big benefit, right? And having someone, like Lynn said a few minutes ago, if you have somebody to look at your site and give you advice, huge advantage for somebody that works alone. So finding a partner can offer many of those benefits. Unfortunately, finding a partner can also mean a lot of sharing of power and revenue and costs and politics and other stuff, legal, that may not be so beneficial. So I tend much more towards trying to hire the help I need rather than trying to partner. But again, different strokes for different folks and for different situations. So I hope that's helpful, Bella. Great to have those questions from you. Thank you for chiming in there. Let me just check back over in our forum for a second here and see if we've got any more questions from over there. And if not, I will be wrapping up the show here in a minute. We've got an inspiring quote that I want to share, and it looks like we can do that here in a moment. Unless Lynn, our sole attendee, thank you, Lynn, for joining in on camera. The rest of you, when you see this recording, you'll see Lynn's picture there. So the rest of you, don't be shy. I know a bunch of you are watching, I can tell, from all over the world, in fact, and it'll be fun to have this be more back and forth. I can certainly talk. You can tell I'm a pretty good talker, but that's not my objective. My objective here is to help you guys. So if you want to come in and talk, it's easier to do it live like this often than it is with all the typing that we do in the forum. But hopefully the 1-2 punch gives you what you need to help you keep moving forward into the future. All right, so here's today's quote before we wrap up the show. This quote is from, there's a lot of controversy about this band just this week, U2. They were part of the big Apple Watch launch, and apparently Apple thought it was a good idea to stick U2's new album on everybody's iTunes or iPod account, and that annoyed a lot of people. So not the best strategy on Apple's part, in my book, but I did like something Bono said a few years ago that I really liked, and here it is for you, and maybe it'll be inspiring to you. Here it is. The world is more malleable than you think, and it's waiting for you to hammer it into shape. And that's from Bono, who is credited here as an Irish singer, songwriter, musician, venture capitalist, businessman, and philanthropist. That's a pretty good resume, right? The world is more malleable than you think. It's waiting for you to hammer it into shape. And I think that's right. When you're young, at least when I was young, I was presented with a few distinct paths that I was supposed to follow. And I did a pretty good job of following those. I got good grades and went to good schools and did all that stuff, and it didn't work. It just didn't work for me. And excuse me. And it turned out that there were other paths that I wasn't aware of, and my parents and other guidance mentors weren't aware of either, because honestly the internet didn't exist when I was a kid, right? So I ended up doing a kind of a big left turn, and I think all of you have that opportunity too. I know it's not easy if you're, you know, of a certain age and you have lots of obligations already. I'm not saying it's easy, but I think there is more room in this world for more mavericks than the corporate lifestyle would suggest. And Bono's a good example of that. I mean, he's a rock star, but he started young and he made some things happen that I'm sure the people around him never expected to see happen. And I think it's true for you guys too. It's not too late. That reminds me, there's a great essay by Kevin Kelly, who's one of the founders of Wired magazine. It's out on the internet called It's Not Too Late for You. I'll post that on the forum if I haven't already, because it might inspire you that it really is not too late. And Bono agrees. He says, the world is more malleable than you think, and it's waiting for you to hammer it into shape. I usually have big quotations from famous philosophers and stuff, but I think a rock star is good every now and then, and especially if you're a U2 fan, I hope you'll take that to heart. The world's more malleable than you think. It's waiting for you to hammer it into shape. And I'm Scott Fox, and you're watching and listening to the Click Millionaires Video Office Hours. I'm here to help you hammer it into the shape that you want to see in your life. And I hope this is helpful to you, and I hope that you'll come on over to clickmillionaires.com if you haven't lately. Come on back. It's going to be near the end of the month, so we'll have a bunch of community cash to give away soon, and I'd be happy to help you, as would lots of our other friendly members like Bella and Patrick and Lynn and Paul and Adam and all the other ones that are there right now watching. And I hope that you're going to have a great week and come and see us and participate, because like I said at the top of the show, participation leads to monetization. Just watching and listening, not enough. Stop reading books, unsubscribe to all that other stuff, get busy. Thanks for joining me. I'm Scott Fox. Hope to see you again soon. ClickMillionaires.com.